All right, young scholars, today we are going to go through the inventory and strings tutorial, which, as I'll talk about when we get to them, will help you with doing homeworks number 4 and 5. I wanted to point out that on Blackboard, I went ahead and made it so that it's only going to count your top 10 homework grades instead of all 13. So I looked at the other class. I'm not sure if this was done for everyone, but in the other class, it looks like now you don't even have a grade because it dropped the lowest 3 homework scores. I'm assuming once you have a grade for homework 4 and 5, etc., that it should no longer be an issue. But go ahead and download that inventory and strings file there by clicking the 3 and selecting download original file here. And you should get a file that opens that looks like this with 5 worksheets here. Inventory, meanings, assumptions on discount, inventory strings, and NFL. So this inventory, meanings, and assumptions on discount worksheets are going to help you with homework number 4, and then inventory strings and NFL should help you in completing homeworks, or homework number 5, rather. So while you guys are downloading and opening that, I'm going to go through the information that's on the meanings worksheet and the assumptions on discount worksheet. So on the meanings worksheet, it says the inventory spreadsheet has data on the products our company sells. The columns have the following meanings. Column A has the product number. Column B has the product division code. Column C has the number of units, what we have on hand. Column D has the unit cost to buy from the supplier, known as the list price. And then column E has how many units we sell every day, the daily sales. But in order to be successful or have enough on hand, so to speak, each product type has a certain amount of weeks of supplies that we need to have. So for dairy, it's 5. For meat, it's 3 weeks. For canned goods, it's 12 weeks. For bakery, it's 9 weeks. For cleaning supplies, it's 7 weeks. And for paper, it's 8 weeks. And then the assumptions on discount. Basically, whatever total order quantity we get from our auto sum, we check within this chart the total order quantity to determine which discount we end up with. So whether it be 0%, 3.5%, etc., based on our total order. So the reason I set it up like this is to show you how to use multiple worksheets at one time. So in order to calculate how many we need, we do equals. And for this first instance, we have BAK. We click into our meanings worksheet. And we select this 9 here from B14 because that is the weeks of supplies for BAK. We then do the multiplication sign and press back into our inventory worksheet here and select E2, that first from the daily sales. But right now we have weeks and daily sales. So we need to multiply that by 7 in order to calculate, there's 7 days in a week. But because we're going to use that meanings B14 for all of the BAKs, we have to put $sign in front of the B, $sign in front of the 14 to make it an absolute. So when we click enter, we get 504. We click back into the cell and can auto fill down for all of our BAKs. Then we do the same setup for CAN. We do equals. We click into our meanings tab. We find which one is CAN. It's this 12 here. We add a multiplication. We click back into inventory. We select E7 because that is our first CAN and multiply that by 7. And we make the B13 an absolute this time. So that when we click enter, we can click back in the cell and autofill down for all of the CANs. Then we do the same thing for the CLN, the cleaning supplies. In cell F15, we do equals, we go into our meanings, we find the CLN, it's 7 here, B15, and we do multiply, we go back into inventory, we select from our daily sales, multiply by 7, and we make B15 an abs. We click back into that cell, we autofill down for all of our CLNs. Then we have to do it for the 3 other months, the dairy, the meat, and the paper. So for our first dairy, we do equals, click into meanings, we find the DRY for dairy. It's in B11, multiplication sign, click back into inventory, select that daily sales, multiply it by 7. Again, we have to make the B11 an absolute, so that when we click back in the cell, we can autofill down for all of the dairies. Then we have to do the same thing for meat and paper. Equals, meanings. We select the MET for meat, which is in B12. Multiplication sign, back in inventory. Select the daily sales. Multiply it by 7. Make the B12 an absolute. Click back in the cell. Autofill down for all of the meats. And then last but not least, we do that for paper. Equals, meanings, select PAP. In this instance, it's B16. Multiply, back into inventory, select the daily sales, multiply by 7, make B16 an absolute, and then autofill through the rest of them. So that is how you create or determine how many we need. We multiply how many we sell each day by 7 to get our weekly total, and then multiply it by the number of weeks that we need from our meanings worksheet. Now, how many we have is much easier because we already have that information. This column here, row C, or column C rather, on hand, that's how many we have. So we just do equals C2. Click enter and autofill down. Then in column H, we need to calculate how many we need to order. So in order to do that, we do equals how many we have or how many we need rather, minus how many we have. So in this instance, we have 45, but we need 504. So we subtract. Okay, we need to order 459 in order to get to that 504. So we click back in that cell and auto fill down. However, as you use your up arrow to go up to check all of them, you'll see that some of them have negatives. That means that we already have enough to have on hand for those weeks that we need them to be on hand at all times. So in any instance where you have a negative number, you go in and you replace it with a 0. So 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 instances where you have a negative number, so you replace them with 0. And then you'll notice at the bottom of that column here, it's cell H52, it's asking for the total order quantity, which is just a sum of all of those numbers in that column. So you click this side, nope, click back into that cell. That's where we want it. So you click this sideways M, which is the auto sum button, and it gives you the formula equals sum H2 colon H51. That is our range of numbers. It sums or totals them together. Now we click enter. It gives us 14,794 items that we have to purchase. So we click into our assumptions on discount, and we see that 14,794 is in between 14,000 and 16,000. So our discount is going to be that 16.5%. So we click back into the inventory worksheet, and we scroll up and we select cell J2 here, where it says discount rate. Now we do equals. We click back into that assumptions on discount. We select the 16.5%. Now we hit enter in the formula bar. And now it simply shows us that 16.5%. We only need to put it in once, because when we calculate our net price per unit, we're simply going to use that J2 as an absolute. So in order to calculate our net price per unit, we're going to take our list price, then subtract the list price times the discount rate. So we do equals E2 minus, in parentheses, E2 times J2, close parentheses. Well, we make J2 an absolute, so we can simply auto-fill this down through the entire column. So we click back in that cell after we hit enter, and we auto-fill everything down. So this now gives us our discounted price based on the discount rate. So lastly, we need to calculate our total cost per unit. All that does is multiplies our order quantity times our discounted price. So we do equals H2 times I2. And we hit enter, click back into that cell, auto fill down. But then right below that, it asks for the total cost. Well, we simply do what we did for the total order quantity. We click that auto sum button. It selects our range for us. We hit enter, and it's a little over $57,000. So then if you go on a blackboard, you'll notice here Excel homework 4. Literally almost exactly the same as what we just did. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll download this inventory file. And the inventory file will just look like this. Sheet 1. So what you should do first is click column A, go over here to sort and filter, click it and select sort A to Z. It'll give you this little message, just select sort. So this way, all your BAKs, your CANs, CLNs, DRY, they're all in order for you now. And you're going to do exactly what we just did here. You're going to calculate how many we need, how many we have, order quantity, net price per unit, discount rate, total cost per unit, total order quantity to get you your discount rate, and your total cost. But you'll notice I press this little plus button here to get these 2 extra sheets. So the first sheet, you should rename meanings. Copy this little meanings chart that I gave you in that worksheet from today's in-class example. And type in these new weeks of supply. So DRY in the in-class was 5, becomes 1. Like I said, type them in individually. If you just copy and paste it, it gives an error because it thinks it's a string. So, and then you would copy the assumptions on discount worksheet. And again, you'd type in the new information from the homework instructions. And again, you're basically asked to do the same things. Create the order quantity, net price per unit, etc. All of which we just went through. Now, the reason I suggest creating those new worksheets and just naming one meanings, copying, naming the other assumptions on discount, and just copying and updating them based on the new information for the homework is you should not have to modify these more difficult functions or formulas, if you will. Now, for your discount rate, it may change based on your total order quantity. So keep that in mind. So are there any questions on that? So like I said, that half will help you do homework 4. Just make sure you download the new inventory file. Okay. So the rest of what we're going to do today is inventory strings and NFL worksheet is going to help you with homework number 5. So you'll notice here you have division description dash product number dash color description and full description. So we're going to use some of those string functions that I've mentioned previously. Left, right, mid, and concatenate. So for the full description here in column K, we're going to do equals F2 and G2 and H2 and I2 and J2, which concatenates or combines all of them together. When you hit enter, all it's going to show you is dash dash right now, because we've yet to put our color description, product number, or division description. So if you click back into that cell and autofill down, all of them just show dash dash right now. As we go through and do all this information, you'll see that the full description will be updated based on what we do here. So for homework 5, you don't really need to sort this column A, as I'll show you momentarily, like we did here for the first one for homework 4, because we have 6 types of products we're selling: bakery, canned goods, cleanings, dairy, meat, and paper. In this instance, we're just going to use an ifs with a nested left function inside because of those 6 conditions. And this way, you just type in this one formula and autofill it all the way down. Whereas in the other example, you use 6 different formulas based on what the product type was. So we go equals ifs. All of our conditions are going to check left because our product division code is the first 3 pieces of the product number from the left-hand side. So we do left, open parentheses. We select the cell that we're taking the information from, comma, how many characters do we need? BAK is 3 characters. So it's left, A2, comma 3. Then we do equals BAK. We want to check if it's bakery. If it is bakery, then we're going to return bakery. Comma, left, A2, comma 3, equals CAN. If it's CAN, then it's canned goods. And we go through and we do this for all 6 conditions. Left, A23 equals CLN. If it's CLN, then it's cleaners. If it's DRY, then it's dairy. If it's MET, then it's meat. And last but not least, if it's PAP, then it's paper. And then we close out our ifs. So if it's BAK, it should return bakery if we type the formula in. And the reason we do it, all that long formula, like I said, is because when you click back into the cell, you can just autofill everything down, and all the PAPs are paper, all the METs are meat, all the DRYs are dairy, all the CLNs are cleaners, all the CANs are canned goods, all the BAKs are bakery. As opposed to, like I said, with the other example, doing 6 different functions or formulas. You'll see, as I promised you, it updated the full description. So next we need the product number, which is these middle 3 numbers. So we use the mid function. So we do equals mid. The first parameter is always that cell that you're taking the information at. Whereas with left and right, you just take whatever number of characters you want to take. Mid, you have to give it a starting number and then a number of characters. So here we already used the first three characters to get our division description. So we're going to start at the fourth character, which is our 8 in this example. And 875, 623, 320, those are all three characters. So we start at the fourth character and we take three characters, 4, 5, and 6 in this example. When we click enter, it should take the number piece out of the product number from column A. We click back in that cell and we auto fill down. And again, now you notice the full description is now updated with that number in between or after the first dash. Then we have a second dash, and then we have color description. Color description, we're going to use a similar formula to division description, except instead of 6 instances, we only have 4, and instead of left, we're going to use right, because the B is for black, the W is for white, the R is for red, and the G is for gray. And that's only one letter or character on the right-hand side. So we do equals ifs. Check right. Our A2, we only need one character. That last character is our color. So then we do equals. If it's G, then the answer is gray. Then we do the same for the other instance. If it's W, then it's white. If it's B, then it's black. And last but not least, if it's R, it's red. Again, these are called nested functions. You're using the right function inside of the ifs function. So it's nested, it's inside. So in this example, because the last letter is B, if I type this all in correctly, it should say black. It does. Then again, it updates the full description. So in that one instance, our full description is now done. So we click back into that cell and auto fill down. And now all of our full descriptions are complete. And make sure that you recognize that the G is gray. For whatever reason in the past, multiple people have decided on the homework to change that to green for some reason. And then last but not least, here we have this NFL worksheet where you're asked to find the first team score, the second team score, who won, the winning score, and to find out how many games Tampa Bay won. So to find the first team, we're just going to use the left function, because the first team starts on the left here, TB, TB, SF, NE, TB, TB, TB. So we click that cell, and we just need the first two characters. In the homework, for homework 5, the baseball example, there are going to be 3 characters instead, because it's NYY, TOR. So we click enter. We auto fill down. We now have that first team for each of them. Then for the first team score, because it's after that, it's kind of in the middle here, we use the mid function. So we do mid, we select the cell, We already used the first two characters, so we're going to start at 3, comma, and then we just need two characters. The scores are 29, 14, 38, etc. If we did that correctly, it should show us 29. It does. We click back in, auto fill down. Get 14, 38, 14, 19, 10, and 34, just like you see within the cell. Then for the second team, we also use the mid function. We select the cell we're taking the info from, comma. Where are we starting? Well, we've used the first 4, so we're going to start at number 5. And again, we only need 2. NO, NO, NE, LV, etc. are only 2 letters. So we click back in that cell, auto fill down, should be whatever that second team is for all of them. Then for the second team score, we can use the right function because the second team score is the last 2 in all of these. So we do equals right. We select our cell, comma 2, and it gives us that last team score. So in this example, 32, 38, 13, 20, etc. We click back in and auto fill down. Our next column asks us to figure out who won. So we're going to do an if statement or an if formula. We do equals if. So if F2, first team score, is greater than H2, comma, E2. So if that first team score is greater than the second team score, we give the first team. Otherwise, we give the second team. So in this example, since the second team score of 32 is greater than 29, it's going to give us the false, which is G2, New Orleans. So we click enter. It gives us that answer, so we know we did it right. We click back in and auto fill down. Now for winning score, I'm also going to use an if formula. And I'm going to show you because we've only done if greater than, less than, greater than, or equals to, that you can also do equals within an if formula. So we do equals if I2 equals E2, if our team that won is the first team, then we give the first team score. Otherwise, we give the H2, the second team score. If the team that
Down
won
is it easy or
is the
difficult?
first team,
Down is easy, right?
so if the team that won is the first team, then we give the first team score. Otherwise, we give the second team score. So in this instance, it should say 32 because that is the winning score. And it does. We click back in. We auto fill down, and all of the higher scores, whichever the winning team score was, shows up there. And then lastly, we're asked, how many games did Tampa Bay win? This requires us to use the count if formula. So we do equals count if. This checks for a condition. It counts if something exists. So the first part, we select our range of cells that we want to check the information on. So who won? We highlight that range of cells. And since we're looking to see how many games Tampa Bay won, we do comma and then TB in quotes to see how many games Tampa Bay won. And we only have 1. So TV won one game. If we were to change that in a check for, let's say, SF, it would give us two. We have one here, one here. So count if, you select your range of cells you want to check, and then you provide the condition or the if of what you want to check. And it counts how many instances there are. And if you do that on the homework, you'll have 5 extra points for homework 5. So you could get a 55 out of 50 on that. So if you scroll down to next week's folder and select Excel homework 5, and download this inventory strings file, it will look something like this. You'll have an inventory worksheet. You're going to do exactly what we just did here. You'll have to add your division description, a dash, product number, dash, color description, full description. Add them all together. And you'll literally have the same formulas for all of these as you just did, excuse me, for the in-class example we just did. Then on that baseball worksheet, you're given a lot more than the 7 that I used. There's 35 total. And you'll see here, like I said, the baseball example, there's 3 letters for the team names instead of 2 like there was for the football. And you'll do the same thing that we just did in the NFL example. You'll get the first team. So you'll use 3 letters or characters instead of 2. You'll get the first team score, the second team score, determine who won, who had the winning score, and instead of how many games did Tampa Bay win, you're going to be asked how many games did New York win, the Yankees. So see how it's NYY for Yankees? You would do count if, highlight your entire range, comma, and then in quotes, NYY, and you should get an answer from 7 or an answer of 7. If you do all of that correct, and you'll see here it says extra credit. How many games did the Yankees win? So that's the possible 5 extra points on homework 5. And like I said, these are the last 2 homeworks that you guys do on your own. The rest of them going forward, we will do together, starting with goal seek and pivot tables. But again, this one, homework 5, is not due until a week from Sunday. So plenty of time to do that one as well.
Number 5. He taught us how to do number 4 and number 5. Oh, okay.
So are there any questions on all of that? Like you said, with the
No,
grade book,
I'm still doing the classwork.
Alana, you had a question?
Oh, no.
Okay. So like I mentioned, right now, I think the grade book doesn't show a score for the homework grade because I set it up to drop the lowest 3. Once these homework 4 and homework 5 grades get tabulated, it should go back to normal. Like I said, that was because of the issues everybody was having so far with the homework. So like I said, you're more than welcome to do these early. Homework 4 will be due Sunday. 5, like I said, will be due a week from Sunday, but you're more than welcome to go ahead and do both this weekend. That's perfectly up to you. So if you have any questions going through them, try to get in touch with me by like Saturday afternoon. As some people know, I am a 49ers fan, so I will be watching the Super Bowl pretty closely on Sunday, so may not be able to get back to you until late Sunday night, which may not give you enough time to finish. So Are there any questions with respect to any of that? And again, I want to point out, make sure that you have the formulas. This is the formula instead of just typing in an answer. So that this way, not only do you get the points on the homework, but when you save this and go back to it as your quote unquote notes, you have it available to pull out and use on the midterm. So make sure that that is the case. But if there are no questions, we went through that quicker than the other class. I'm going to pop up the recording once it's done. And I will see everybody on Monday. And like I said, email me with any questions on the homework.